Hi, this is Ren, and this is All Walks of Film. So, we just watched La La Land, and I was very skeptical about this movie, but was anticipating it to a certain extent because I really, really loved Whiplash. Whiplash was one of the best movies to come out of 2014.
Mm-hmm. But you also really, really, really hate musicals like this.
Yeah, there was a podcast that we actually lost that I went into a whole spiel on why I hated musicals, and this movie kind of exemplifies pretty much, this movie kind of illustrates a lot of aspects of musicals that I just don't like.
And for me going into it, I had zero interest in it one way or another, which is kind of rare. I didn't really think it was going to be bad. I just thought I wasn't gonna like it, mostly because the only clip from the movie I had seen was a bit of choreography that reminded me a lot of the I Want to Be in America scene from West Side Story, and I do not like the West Side Story movie. Personally, it is not my taste. I did not think this was gonna be my taste more than anything else. I just thought it was gonna be foofy and, glitz, glamour, whatever. I just thought it was going to be kind of frivolous. Nothing wrong with that. That's just not what I like. And instead of just being kind of ambivalent towards it, I was deeply disappointed. And by disappointed, I mean that this film had the potential to be a much better film. I think that this film could have been a lot stronger. Because the bones of it were there. There were definitely really great parts of the movie. Really great parts of the movie. And really good kernels of ideas to the storytelling, and a lot of work went into the characters and into their banter, and especially with this writer-director, and knowing Whiplash, I just couldn't believe the way that they chose to tell the story, and I just ended up being really disappointed.
Alright, so starting off, this movie starts off with a very elaborate musical number, singing and dancing on a highway in traffic. And at this point in the movie, I wanted to walk out. My cousin recommended me see this movie. I told him I don't like musicals. I told him that I really don't care for Singing in the Rain that much either. And he was like, no, check it out and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, okay, well, for the sake of my cousin, I will see this movie. And so for 20 minutes of the movie, I was thinking to myself, okay, I fucking hate this. I want to leave right now. Until Ryan Gosling's character showed up, and then the movie started to be a lot more lukewarm for me. Mm-hmm. I hated all the musical numbers with Emma Stone at the very beginning of the movie because it just, oh my God, it was like just one note. And I don't mean like one note, but it was like one mood. And it was just like, oh, glitz and glamour, whoa, whoa, whoa. Then you see her mundane life, which you're rich.
Is one of the main problems of this is one of the biggest problems in the movie. And especially comparing it to Whiplash. Whiplash was about a kid who had certain privileges in life to allow him to go to this big name fancy school and get this fancy training. But nothing was really glorified about his lifestyle. And he was still struggling intensely. And that was the crux of the film, was him struggling. That's what made it interesting. And in this movie, when Emma Stone is struggling, she has a beautiful luxury bedroom with 4 roommates that she genuinely enjoys being around. She gets to go to movies and fancy dinners and big swanky parties and get dressed up every week on a barista salary. What the fuck?
If that's desperate, I want to have that life.
Yeah. That life is so much nicer than anything I could imagine having. And that was her at her shitty point. What the fuck was that? Oh no! I feel so bad for her.
I guess this is what the rich kids in college feel like. Where it's oh, I don't know where I'm going with my life.
What Hollywood elites think poor people live like, and it's still amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's like they're so out of touch, with things that like they think that people live life like they did back in like the 60s and 70s.
Probably her lifestyle is probably closer to anything from the 50s if you forget about the gender discrimination in the workplace thing. If you just talk about quality of lifestyle, it was closer to that than anything I've ever seen. Like, yeah, Jesus.
But they were still on like a higher middle class status.
Really higher middle class. I mean, like, who knows if maybe her parents were helping? Yeah, that was one of the biggest problems with the movie. Completely. Like, that was most of what I found to be truly disappointing.
Yeah, so I like the fact that, like, once we got to, like, Ryan Gosling, it was like, okay, well, this is still, like, on the higher end, but, like, at least his apartment looks simple.
His apartment still looked pretty nice, but yeah.
Yeah, it looked pretty nice. I don't know where the fuck he was getting his money. Because, like, that car was really nice.
Yeah, it's like, even when he's talking about, like, life is beating him down and he can't make his payments, he still has, like, this vintage car with a tape player in it? Really? I mean,
I guess he got it from,
struggling
like...
in this movie looks wonderful and romantic and awesome. And, like, it was kind of like when I was watching Gotham. And, like, the homeless people in that movie have a better life than anyone I know.
You mean the show?
Yeah, the show, Gotham. Where it's just like, what the fuck kind of non-reality is this? Like, oh, wow. Has nobody ever seen The Tramp? Like, come on.
Which is a funny thing, because in the movie, you see on the wall The Tramp.
Exactly, my point.
Yeah. Wow. So, 20 minutes in the movie, I was just like, oh my god, what the fuck? And then... I wasn't buying any of the new songs that they, made specifically for the movie. And then when the movie decides to be a jukebox musical, a genre which I hate.
And I hate too, with a deep passion.
But they decide to go with the song Take On Me to start out with.
And the funny thing is besides the fact that pool party scene was one of the two best parts of the entire film, the band that's supposed to be like the shitty 80s cover band, the singer was too good. He could do Take On Me decently. He hit the note on the last two really well, and he easily outshone literally every single singer in the entire rest of the movie. And they were supposed to be like this shit goofy 80s cover band. Like, the one person that you casted correctly was... How do you do that? But everything about that scene worked a lot better. The whole setup, the music was significantly better. A lot of the dialogue and a lot of the ways that the scene was working just worked a lot better.
And also the interplay between Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone was
which we could
cute.
Call them by their names. We could, but there's kind of not really a reason to at this point. Like, I was so confused when she was telling him that he should name his club Sebes, because I had no idea his name was Sebastian. I could not figure out for the life of me what Seb was. Seb? Yeah. Like, I couldn't figure that out.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was tuning out with a lot of the movie just because, like, painful musical numbers just... I can't do it. Like, I get that some people like it. You can have that.
Well, even I can enjoy it to a certain extent, but it doesn't work for what it is. Like, that opening number doesn't work at all, because the song is supposed to be all about, we're going to LA, we're pursuing our dreams, isn't this cool? But all of it reminded me of was, God, I hope I get it, without the desperation that made that song worth anything, really.
Also, I gotta say that one thing that I would like to see more in movies is celebrating a city or place in the US that isn't fucking LA or New York. Just fucking do it, like, sometime.
Whatever, that doesn't particularly bother me one way or another.
Well, I mean, we had two films that showed the beauty of other cities that weren't LA or New York. Manchester
like
by the Sea and Miami in Moonlight.
Yeah, but, like, Miami is also kind of cliche. Like, you get a lot of Miami, too. Especially in television.
Yeah. They're like 4 cities that you always see.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, hell, we live in one, but we don't see it as often.
But, I mean, I feel very conflicted about the way that they handled the musical numbers. Mostly because all the best musical numbers were the parts where nobody was singing. The framing of the film was interesting, at least, because they were trying to take a contemporary story and frame it like a really grand 30s, 40s style musical, which is a much more original thought than Baz Luhrmann has had in his entire career.
I'd watch this multiple times over watching another Baz Luhrmann film again.
Exactly. But they didn't take those two ideas and make them very cohesive. It was just very blatantly ham-fisted that it's supposed to be like the 30s, even though it's nowadays. You know, we have all these grand movie sets and matte paintings and everything is very old-style Hollywood, even though, like, nothing is like that anymore. The only difference is that now we have iPhones. A lot of the things they were doing did not seem contemporary at all. None of the movies they were filming seemed... It was funny because they were talking about contemporary media. You know, like her TV show that she was auditioning for where it's like Dangerous Minds meets the OC. That sounds like a real TV show. And it sounds like a really shitty TV show. But then like all the locations were like these big grandiose productions that like you pretty much haven't seen since Blazing Saddles maybe. Or Pee-wee's Big Adventures. You know, something like that. Even those looked like more realistic to their times than anything we saw in this movie. Like, it was so bizarre. I didn't really understand where the line was supposed to be between, like, reality and fantasy. And the ending really messed a lot of that up, too. Like, there was no... And that's not necessarily bad. I just think this film didn't particularly pull off that ambiguity in any particularly well-done way.
Another issue that I had with the movie was the fact that the whole musical theater sound of it, you know, like Broadway sound of a lot of the songs, doesn't really work with the narrative.
Well,
like,
it also
it seems like it should either be jazz or it should be something more contemporary, or establish that Emma Stone likes musical theater a little bit better than what they did, because it seemed like they sprinkled that in the background. Like you were supposed to, like,
that she liked theater. There was nothing to indicate that she liked musical theaters in particular.
I think I saw, like, one thing in the background, like, one time. But, like, that's... To establish that she likes musical theater so that, like, when she's, like, singing these songs and all that stuff, it shows that it means something to her. Because these musical numbers don't work because, like, what does that mean to either one?
Well, like,
you have one character that likes jazz, and then you have another character that likes the theater. But, like, the musical theater
But she didn't even like the theater. That was the confusing part, was, like, she talked about how she liked old movies, and she named, like, Notorious and Casablanca.
Yeah, she wasn't naming, like, Singing in the Rain, Carousel.
Yeah, nothing like that.
The Music Man. Like, why wouldn't you mention those if that's what you're trying to emulate? It makes no sense.
Like, her connection to theater was just that she did a lot of acting growing up, which made sense. Like, that's kind of realistic. I get that. But she was trying to become, like, a film actress. And not a musical theater actress. Not like a musical personality or anything like that.
Yeah, which is so confusing because, like, after seeing that opening number, you would see her trying to fall in those footsteps, which, yes, they get back to near the end of the film where she goes back to the coffee place and they're treating her the exact same way. But, like, it seems that, like, okay, if she's going to do these musical numbers,
that's why this, like, line between reality and fantasy was so ambiguous. You didn't really know whose perspective the fantasy was. Because they didn't do anything to establish, except for the ending, which had a lot of problems, that any of this fantasy was her perspective in particular.
That concept works so much better in Lars von Trier's Dancer in the Dark.
But getting back to what you're saying about, like, the sound of it, that was something that was just, like, nails on a chalkboard to me, because they were trying to do songs in this old grandiose musical style, with the contemporary element of this very soft-spoken singing style that's almost not really singing anymore, kind of, which do not work together at all.
Yeah, it seems like there should have been a contemporary push for the songs, or, I mean, like that with a jazz mix. Like, it just feels so weird that they're not doing jazz when they're singing together. Like, what is going on?
I really think that they took a lot of somewhat decent ideas and didn't do enough to smooth it out and make it cohesive.
And I'm almost 100% sure that this movie is going to win Best Picture.
No.
I mean, it won the most awards ever at the Golden Globes.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's telling you anything, which is kind of sad because I don't really think that movie is that good.
For a musical film, or as a film in particular, or as this director's film.
Yeah,
this movie had nothing on Whiplash. Like, come on.
Oh, yeah. Whiplash is amazing.
But that being said, please, for the love of God, can he please keep making more jazz films? Please. Because all the jazz stuff was excellent. Every time he has characters talk about jazz, it's wonderful. His particular, like, I am a little tired of his, like, white guy jazz perspective, but I can deal with that because he is bringing really interesting, innovative ideas to the table, which is more important. And I like the fact that he is making jazz films, because if you look at, like, The Nice Guys, when they have this whole thing about, like, if you want to get a message out there, you have to go to the movies, you have to go to the, like, that's how people are processing their media nowadays, is through film, through the movies. So I think that it is great that he is choosing film to talk about jazz. And if you look at Whiplash, and if you look at, like, some of the best scenes in La La Land, oh my god, I fucking hate that title. If you look at some of the best scenes in this movie, it's so cinematic, and he's right when he's talking about, like, you need to see it, you need to feel it. It's amazing. And I loved in this film how he was trying to do this whole take on how do you make jazz contemporary. That could have been the entire crux of the film. That could have been the crux of a much better film. Oh my god. If you had cut Emma Stone out of it entirely, make it not about Hollywood and like, any of that shit, and you just made it about Ryan Gosling's character, made him a little less Gary Stu-ish, but keep, like, his story fairly intact, and about him struggling as a traditionalist to survive in a film, or in a genre that's trying to take off and do something new and different, and him trying to figure out how to be more revolutionary about it. That could have been so much more interesting. Oh my god. That could have been so much better.
You mentioned that Ryan Gosling is Gary Stu. Now, I would like you to elaborate with that.
His story in the film is obviously the best part of the movie. Every scene where he's embarrassing himself are the best parts of the movie. The 80s band was one, but it was so hard watching him in The Messengers. It was so hard watching him be a part of something that is really interesting and really well done and is trying to do something new, and him be the worst part of it, even though he's really trying. That was really hard to watch. Like, I actually felt his pain so much in that scene. That scene was amazing. All of that stuff was good, and that's part of what made him a lot better than Emma Stone. But at the same time, like, they really try to prop up how much he is, like, the perfect guy. It's a little ridiculous. He plays the piano, and he sings, and he tap dances, and he is really sweet and will wait the entire film to see if maybe you'll come by, and he won't give up on you. And even after he breaks up with you, he will find you, and he will blast his horn like it's a freaking boombox over his head to make you go and to push you, and he'll say that your project is perfect and you are so amazing, even though he doesn't even know who the fuck you are, and he'll just, like, be so supportive. But he'll also have, like, that dangerous guy kind of streak where he drives in his car a little too fast, and he kind of does, like, dude, it was like, oh, and he cooks amazing meals all the time, and he has, like, the most fantastic forearms you've ever seen in your life. Like, dude, calm the fuck down. Nobody is like, I mean, people are like that guy, but, like, when your whole film is talking about struggling in Hollywood, can you give him, like, any imperfections? He is a much better perfect guy than a lot of perfect guys, like Edward from Twilight. There was a lot of Twilightiness in this movie where it's, like, girly fantasy, but at least, like, I kind of want to be with Ryan Gosling. I understand that. I don't get the Edward thing. I don't understand how that's supposed to be, like, perfect guy. But I get the Ryan Gosling thing. I get that.
I did like his edge at the very beginning of, like, brushing her off, though.
Yeah, he was a dick, but then they never bring it up again. Then he just flips too much to being, like, too supportive and wonderful.
Yeah.
Like,
I get what you're saying, but, like, I did like the fact that, like, we don't see this very often where, like, a woman pursues a man. Like, what we usually see is a woman likes a guy, and then she's like, oh my god, I can't wait until he talks to me. Like, oh my god, can he just please talk to me? You know, and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, let's face it, that's how a lot of women think, you know, so that's not, like, outside of the realm of reality. I'm just sick and tired of seeing it in movies.
Yeah, and also I did really like a lot of their banter and a lot of what makes the dynamics of their relationship work in how different they are, but also kind of how they're so attracted to one another. Like I said, like, there were bones to this movie to do something a lot better.
There was a lot of really good editing in this movie. Like with Whiplash, I wouldn't be surprised if it was the same editor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got the emotional beats, you had the musical beats. I always love when editors are able to match musical beats, you know, to edit on the music and not...
That was definitely happening in a lot of Emma Stone's dance numbers.
Yeah, but it was also happening in that scene that, like, you love too. Like, I was just, like, watching the editing of, like, you know, seeing Ryan Gosling's face, you know, and he's like kind of like, yeah, and she's like liking it a lot, but he's like, yeah, this really isn't me.
I loved his fake smile face.
Yeah.
In the movie. That was really excellent.
I also really love the scene where, like, the photographer is, like, trying to take pictures, and he's like, yeah, bite your lower...
It. Oh, that's another scene that was really good just because of how humiliating it was.
And I really wish more of the movie was that. I agree with you.
That was the film. That could have been a much better... Oh, some of the pretentiousness of this movie was so exhausting. One of the things I noticed is when she's working on her stage play, which we don't really get into the nitty-gritty of how she goes about doing that. Like, we kind of see a couple things, but I kind of wish we saw more, because we see a lot of what he was doing with his band, and that worked, but, like, how does an actress go from being an actress who can barely get gigs and callbacks, or auditions and callbacks, go to putting on her one-woman show? Like, I was kind of more interested in how she went about doing that, especially since she was so broke. It would have been cool if they could have pushed, like, how broke she was getting through that process. But one of the things I noticed was she had this banner in the background that literally said La La Land on it. I was like, oh god, that's why they called it La La Land, is because her stage play is called oh god, no. But then that's not even what it was called. It was called, like, Goodbye Boulder or something like that. It was a really long title. But it wasn't La La Land. What the fuck was that?
Yeah, also, like, we weren't really given any notion of what, like, the story of her play was. We knew it was like a
play was the story of the movie. That's why we weren't given any information about it, was because it would have been boring and redundant.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, really, I would say I would have loved to have seen more of her play, but I don't think so, because we saw it in the movie. And she never had any humiliating moments.
No,
like, they had her being embarrassed, but not... I didn't cringe for her the way that I cringed for Ryan Gosling. They didn't really do anything
never got
with
it.
that.
She never got to the point where, like, you know, things were, like, devastating. And, like, to me, like, if you're going to follow the traditional Hollywood musical, you got to have that one moment in the story. Like, if you're following the musical genre thing, you got to have that one moment where, like, all is lost.
Well, I know you make fun of me a lot for liking the artist as much as I do. Yes, I do like the way that they crafted this 30s talkie style musical, or not musical, but movie, and they were really true to what a movie of that time felt like, and that was cool, and they had, like, a lot of big grandiose production to it, and that was cool, and they had, like, these cute moments, and that was cool too, and they sort of, like, played with the genre, and that was also cool. But most of what works in that movie is how dark it is. How this guy, who is kind of a fuck up, and definitely an asshole, just destroys his life for not a particularly good reason. And watching everything unravel around him from his own making, it's really all his fault, is what makes that movie so interesting and so good. and also why people don't like the ending, and I can understand that. I do. And that was really needed in this movie. That would have made Emma Stone's character so much more interesting, as if, like, she was so caught up in pursuing her dream, and we could have seen how pursuing this dream was also watching her watch everything slip away from her at the same time. Like, she was so blinded by her pursuit that she couldn't see how she was wrecking everything. But we don't get to see that in the movie. Like, it's kind of happening, but we don't experience it.
Yeah, it's inferred, but, like, you know, this is a visual medium. Like, you can't just, like, imply things. Like,
well, like
especially if you're going to have large, long musical numbers, you know, like, you need to establish your character better. Because, like, the movie did a great job with establishing who Ryan Gosling was. And then there's like, oh, yeah, you know, like, the crux of the movie apparently is Emma Stone. But, like, we still don't really know anything about her.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why the musical numbers didn't work at all, is because, like, the singing numbers, not the instrumental numbers. The instrumental numbers conveyed a lot more about character, like you said. Because with a lot of the singing numbers, everything just comes to a halt. Okay, let's watch this for 5 minutes. It's not, like, with the exception of the, like, Look at the View song, which I still didn't really like very much, they're not adding to plot or character. They're just sort of there. Look at how flashy it is. Okay. But, like, in this movie, the only way I know that she's struggling with anything, and I know things are really that bad, is two things. And one of them was done well, and one of them wasn't. When she's backstage, and she can hear people talking shit about her, and that worked really well, too, earlier when Ryan Gosling was listening in on her. Both of those moments were great to convey, like, what is happening. But then when she comes outside and she's like, I'm done for! I can't pay back the theater! I'm done with everything! I literally only know that because she said it, and just sort of threw it out there. I don't really know why, or how, or why it's that sudden, because, like, her life seems pretty awesome the entire movie. Like, really awesome. So I don't know why all of a sudden this is so devastating.
I was really jelly of, like, both of them to, like, a certain extent.
I was really jelly. Like, wow. And when he was like, oh, you get $1,000 a week, I was like, he must be making something comparable to that now. Well, like, look at the way he lives. Look at the way she lives.
Yeah, I mean, the only way that I could see Ryan Gosling living somewhat decently is if, like, a parent of his died or something like that, which was not established.
Well, his sister and her husband lived pretty well, but from their scene together, it doesn't seem like she's helping him financially, and it doesn't seem like he wants her to help him financially either. You know, she's just sort of like, get your shit together, but that's about it.
I mean, it would make sense if they didn't live in LA.
Yeah, if it was pretty much anywhere else, you could accept a lot of it, but not really. But there were a lot of, like, really good small moments that worked well, but there are a lot of movies that I don't like that have really good small moments, but don't work together as a whole. Like, for Emma Stone, her audition at the beginning was pretty bad. Like, I kind of felt for her then. You know, when her audition gets interrupted by somebody with, like, a fucking cue card outside, and then they just dismiss her, and she gets into an elevator, and she's literally right next to two people who look just like her, but so much better. You know, the same hair color, and the same sort of complexion, and the same shirt, but she's the one with the coffee stain, and it kind of sucks. You know, it was over the top, but I understood that. I could kind of, like, feel something with that. But then she goes home, and it's awesome, and I'm like, no, fuck you. Your life is great. I feel no pity for you.
Yeah, also, like, how many people have friends that, like, it's like, oh, I know you're feeling down, but, like, let's go out and party. Like, you have this amazing dress, and, like, we're gonna hang out. I mean,
and we're
obviously,
gonna go to
like,
this great party with Hollywood elites.
Yeah, like
it's like a casual thing. Like, she was just gonna casually blow that off.
Oh, like a casual thing where, like, people are, like, jumping into pools and, like, you know, it's, like, fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess one thing that I will say is, like, according to what I know of Hollywood, because, like, we were watching this O.J. Simpson documentary, is that, like, sometimes these clubs, like, if you're hot, you can just get into. And then people will, like, buy you drinks. But then that gets a little, like, shady. You know, really quick.
Well, also
women, be careful.
If
this is what you're pursuing.
No, that was somebody's house. That wasn't like a club.
Yeah, well, house party. I mean, like, house parties are a little bit more inviting depending on like who you know, but like somebody
But they knew people. That was like a big Hollywood elite party. They were going there to try and impress people to get movie jobs. Which you could take that concept and make that seem really shitty.
Yeah.
That could have been interesting, as if like that scene was all really embarrassing.
Yeah, but I was still like, what the fuck with the musical numbers?
Awesome.
I was like, I mean, it seemed awesome. I just didn't like the music. It was just like too much. It was, like the very beginning of this movie, it's just like too much.
And
but that's also because I don't like musicals. So like I'm watching it just going like, oh my god, gag me with a spoon.
Well, can we get into the ending?
Yeah.
Oh my god, the ending. If I had liked the movie until the ending could have ruined it for me, honestly. Because they're trying to play this ending musical number specifically from her perspective. This is her fantasy, and that is why it is so frivolous and over the top. But that doesn't work when you spend like 2.5 hours doing that same thing and playing it straight the whole movie. You didn't have that from her perspective. You didn't have that sort of cynicism to it the whole rest of the movie. So it doesn't work when you do it that way at the end. But oh my god, she is a horrible person, which could have been awesome if she wasn't an awesome person the whole movie. If this was like a real flaw that we were supposed to see in her character, that would have been something. But when you throw it in at the ending, you're giving me the impression that you think that it's totally fine for her to fantasize about not having her husband or kid anymore, and she could have been with this guy, and if only he had given up everything and not had his club and not gone on this band that made him rich and famous and not had cared about his success at all and just supported her, then she wouldn't have her husband now and she wouldn't have her kid now and she could have been with this guy and her life could have been so much more. Oh my god! That is horrible and evil and interesting if that's what you're going for in sort of a neon demon kind of way, but I don't think it was.
I saw that whole scene as kind of like a mutual fantasy that they had. And then
But in their mutual fantasy, he gives up all of his shit for her? And he has nothing for himself? He has hopes and dreams too! That was the best part of the movie. And then the ending is trying to say that things could have been better if he just didn't do any of that shit?
Well, I think what the ending is trying to say is that two really passionate artists that aren't in the same field ultimately won't work.
That was the other thing. It's like, I know I said if Emma Stone wasn't in this movie and we didn't have her storyline and we were only focused on Ryan Gosling's character, it could have been a much better movie, and I stand by that. But the other way that this movie could have been better is if you did focus more on how much of a struggle their relationship is, instead of trying to say, like, everything is awesome until it's not awesome. Because those scenes where they're struggling are the better parts of the movie. Are better. They're not the best, but they're a lot better than the rest of the movie. But they also kind of come the fuck out of nowhere.
Yeah, and if you want to see a movie where Ryan Gosling really struggles in a relationship, watch the very, very bleak and realistic film Blue Valentine.
Mm-hmm.
I have never seen a more realistic approach to a relationship than that movie.
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, like, you could have taken this idea of how do we work together and how do we continue to support each other while we go off into our separate ways. Kind of like Adam, I guess. That could have been interesting. If you had delved into that and how that works more. Because like I said, you don't really know a lot about what Emma Stone's doing. And her fantasy is that he just doesn't succeed at anything at all. They didn't get into that enough for me to really be invested in that. Or even their relationship together. I didn't really give a shit about them together. Like, their banter was nice and fairly entertaining, but I didn't really care if they were together. I didn't care when they broke up. I didn't care when they moved in. Whatever. Because he was so much more interesting.
Another criticism that I will give the movie, and this is a very specific criticism. I don't really remember the music in the movie, other than the instrumental music. I know there was like City of Stars, and like
I don't even
kind
remember
of
how that
like.
goes.
Well, no, I literally have like the soundtrack pulled up right here so that I can remember what the songs are called.
I remember
because
half of that song and half of the Dreamer song were the only time Emma Stone sounded even halfway listenable. Like, they weren't atrocious, but they really needed some like singing doubles. Because they were not pulling off their songs very well until they sang together, and it kind of was okay, but it wasn't great.
Well, that's the problem that I have with so many musicals nowadays, is like, you get people that don't sing, and I know sometimes you're like, no, that's the point of the musical, but like...
Sometimes it is, in this case it was not.
Yeah, but like, there's so many times where I like watch musicals, especially modern musicals, and it seems like, you know, oh, well, you know, you could have had performers that, you know, did a little bit more voice training. Like, you know, there are singers that could do this. To be fair,
look at how much I mean, I'm trying to cut them some slack because they're trying to learn how to waltz and how to tap and how to play instruments and how to sing and learn their lines.
And the whole movie shows them struggling, but they don't feel comfortable doing any of those.
Yeah.
Emma Stone feels the most comfortable when she's acting, when she's just doing like normal, straightforward acting. Ryan Gosling feels more comfortable when he's acting, but also...
His piano work was fantastic.
His piano work was great. And
I'm not sure if he was really doing all of that, because I was trying to tell if they had somebody standing in for him, but from everything I could see, that was him. I don't know, but... Because they were done in single take shots, No, you can blur that. Like, we all saw Birdman. You can mess around with that. That's why it's hard to tell. So, I mean... Even if they did have a double, then just kudos for them for me not even being able to tell when I was really trying to look for it.
That could have been a special effect.
Yeah. I mean, there's a difference, though, between having singers that sound human and having singers that just don't sound very good. Like, in Buffy, when they had a musical episode, it works because the context is that they are their normal selves being manipulated into doing this thing. In Scrubs, it works because you have the charm of the numbers that they're trying to pull off. They can all do a halfway decent job, and you're not pushing them too far. You're not pushing them too far for their skill set. You're playing into their wheelhouse. And neither of these people were very comfortable doing that, but also there were only two good singers in the movie. One of her roommates, the girl with the black hair and the red dress, and the 80s guy, the Take On Me guy. And that was it. No one else was particularly outstanding. I mean, they weren't terrible, but they were just, you're there.
Sorry, John Legend fans.
Oh, no, John Legend was good too. I wasn't thinking about that. No, he was good too.
Yeah.
No. He did a good job. And the background the background singers and the messengers also did a good job.
Yeah.
But that's it. And that's ignoring most of the movie. The messengers were really interesting, though. That whole storyline was very well done, and I liked all of that. All of that was really good.
Yeah. I would have liked to see more of that. It was like this movie just didn't have the type of focus that it needed.
Whiplash was so focused, and it was so intense, like a really, really good baseline. You know, it just carries a whole film, and it's just...
And then the end,
the
end of Whiplash is just like this amazing cathartic moment.
Exactly.
It's great.
It has a focus, and it has a very cohesive feeling, and it just pulls you along and immerses you for the whole duration of the film. And La La Land was all over the place. It wasn't focused at all. It was very up and down in terms of just quality, honestly.
I mean, well, like I said, you know, for 20 minutes of the movie, it was so painful that I actually wanted to go back to the ticket counter and ask for my money back.
My favorite parts were the parts that were actually painful, like emotionally. There were some emotionally painful scenes that worked so well. Like, watching him perform with the Messengers was heart-wrenching. It was so horrible to see that, and I loved it. That was fantastic.
I also really like the scene where he's playing the piano, and you have J.K. Simmons. He's like, no, you're going to play like Christmas music.
I loved him trying to bargain with him. How about one for me, one for you? How about all for you and none for me?
Yeah, and he's like, yeah.
I signed off on that. No, you didn't.
Yeah, and then there's that great moment where like you see his hands go down, and you're like, he's going to do it.
Yeah.
He's going to do it. That's great. Like, Yeah, it's really frustrating because like this movie is so disjointed that there are parts where I'm like, okay, if this movie just keeps on this path, I'm good. Like, yeah, I didn't like the beginning of the movie, but that's okay. There are many movies where I watch the first 20 minutes and I just don't get into it.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes like I get into it. But yeah, I'm a little frustrated with the certainty of how many awards this movie is going to get, how much we're going to hear the music at the Oscars. It's going to be that and all the references to Trump, which I'm not going to get super political, but I guarantee you there's going to be everybody's going to try to imitate Meryl Streep at the Golden Globes.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. I'm so disappointed in this movie because it can be truly great and it can be truly boring and passive. And some films can do boring and passive in a good way, but not this one. It's so disappointing to see that it could have been so much better. It's exactly the way I felt about The Interview, except for I didn't feel this intensely about The Interview, where it shows me that it has the potential to do something so much smarter and so much stronger and something so much more emotional, and it's spending its time doing all this crap that it doesn't seem to care about. And also, can I just say, the other thing about Emma Stone, too, I really wish that they had cast somebody else. I didn't think she worked for this movie at all. One of the worst parts of this movie is every time she made some attempt to seem more spontaneous, and it just comes off as so artificial. Like in the City of Stars song, when she just sort of like cracks down laughing in the middle of the line, it feels so fake. And I don't believe it for a minute. And like, Ryan Gosling did such a good job where he had like this artificial smile that looks so real, but there's still that pain there. And like, when you see him, like if you saw him out of context, you would just be like, oh, he's enjoying himself. But when you see him in this movie, you're like, he hates this. Oh my god. And and they explain her passion for acting a lot and why she's special. And I never believed that she was that passionate. And I never believed that she was that special. I never believed that she was that emotional. She has like that weird bug eye crying face that looks good, but I never felt connected to her at all. I never cared about her.
Yeah, it all felt like a construct. Like you never got like a moment with her to like really break down like who she is, because like we talked about, the movie's more interested in Ryan Gosling.
Well, her humiliation didn't hurt like his humiliation did. Her triumphs didn't feel as triumphant as his did.
Well, it's partly because Ryan Gosling was the true artist. She wasn't.
But you could have done something interesting with that. You really could have. And they almost did with that argument they had over the pot roast, where like he said this thing where she's like, why do you care what people think about you? And he's like, oh my god, are you serious? You're an actress, which I did not think was uncalled for at all. I was like, yeah, duh. They almost got there, but then they didn't. This movie makes me miss Piggy. I'm sad. I almost wish that I don't know. Maybe this movie needed more time. I'm always trying to forgive movies that have really good ideas that don't work out because you tried. I was willing to forgive The Killing Joke because, like, look at how little time they had to pull that together. Like, I dare anybody to do a better job with with that amount of constraints on time and budget. Maybe something like that happened. I don't know. But I assume he started working on this after Whiplash, and he only had a couple years. Maybe they need more time. I think Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling both needed more time for training, for sure. I think production design probably need more time to hash out how they were going to make things work together. I think a script could have gone through a few more rewrites. Maybe if there's especially more time, that audition. Better.
Yeah, especially that final audition thing. It's like, really, you chose to go with a completely black background and only have her standing, pretty much completely still. And
well, also you were trying to do something that was combining the Life is a Cabaret and Maybe This Time from Cabaret, obviously. And It wasn't as painful as when they tried to rip off Cabaret in Burlesque. Like, it wasn't that bad. But it's a big part of why it was boring was because it wasn't nearly as good as either of those. It actually wasn't nearly as good as many songs. Like, it wasn't as good as that, the Dreamer song. Like, the actual Dreamer song. You may say I'm a dreamer. I'm not a singer, sorry. But that's why I wasn't doing any of this shit. But, like, that song is so much more evocative than what she was singing. Like, it was just so meh.
Yeah, and
I can forgive flamboyance. I can forgive fun. I can forgive just, like, this is big and huge and grand, and don't you just love it for that? I can totally get into that. Even if I don't like it, I can understand that. But even in terms of how, like, all the fantasy elements and musical elements weren't going far enough to be fun. Just don't worry about it. Just enjoy it. It wasn't going far enough in that direction. But it also wasn't, I don't know. It just had so many problems. It also didn't really feel good to watch. It wasn't like an experience or like a trip, you know?
Yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of people who feel that it did have that, which explains the reviews, because, like, I'm looking at the reviews, and, I mean, this happened with Arrival as well, but, like, dude, like, I don't really think this movie is that great. And also, like, it seems that this movie, you know, especially, like, the very beginning where it's like, oh, it's CinemaScope and all this kind of stuff. Like, they're really calling for, like, yeah, not for this film. Like, if they were going to make some reference to, like, the old movies or, like, something like that, like, I didn't see a single trailer for this movie, so I didn't even know what time period this movie was going to take place.
But then when you see, like, that CinemaScope and it's so grand, I was ready. I was like, cool, I'm going to buy into this right now. And then you pan down and you see people on the highway in their cars and talking on iPhones. I was just like, shit, never mind. Nope. Like, it was so disjointed and all over the place. But that's just what I feel about everything in this movie. It's just disjointed. I was actually expecting the movie to end with them on the highway. You know, like when they were bookend, yeah. Yeah. It seemed like that. No, it kind of did when, like, they're trying to go to the club and they showed that a couple times. Right. But it almost seems like the ending to the fantasy should have been them, you know, singing in the car or something like that. Like that could have worked. That could have been an interesting way to bookend the film. I did like the interplay, but, like, that whole, like, spiel about her, like, no. But, like, seeing Ryan Gosling's face, like, and it just wrecking him. Yeah. Part of me wishes that had played out more like the scene in Shame, which I know you don't like, but the New York scene. But, you know, to play it to the point where it's uncomfortable, which is what that scene did. Yeah. I think that would have been a really interesting choice. Like I said, that whole scene could have been a lot more interesting as if I had any reason to feel like that was intentional. That's most of why I dislike it. Is if there was anything in the entire film before it to back up being that twisted and fucked up on the inside, I could have liked not only this whole movie, but also the ending a lot more. But the way that it is now, when you have, like, these two perfect protagonists, and then you have, like, this really fucked up shit at the end, it just makes me think that they, like, nobody saw that there was any issue with that. Like, I get having a doubt for a minute and thinking about what your life could have been. I get that. But, like, even her fantasy of what could have been is so warped and fucked up. But also so is his. Because, like, my ideas, or my perception is that, like, all the musical stuff was her fantasy and his fantasy was all the home video stuff. And the home video stuff was better, kinda. But that was just, like, neither one of us pursued our dreams and we just ended up with each other because that's more important. Which is at least coming from a better place than her fantasy. Also, what the fuck was up with the planetarium thing? That was so random. It didn't fit the movie at all. Well, that was, like, a lot of the musical numbers, yeah. I agree. Yeah, the perception of reality and fantasy is just all over the place. It's completely inconsistent the whole movie. And there's a lot of things I like that are exactly like that, where it is very inconsistent. But usually the reason why I like it is because it's going off of a feeling, which is very jazz. Like I said, maybe if you give him more time, and you spend more time playing with how that worked on, like, a feeling level, then maybe it could have been better, but something about it just feels kind of like eating raw dough.
Okay.
Just like, could have been good if you left it in the oven for a few more minutes, but as it is now, it's halfway good and halfway leaves a really weird feeling in your mouth and kind of makes you want to spit it out. It sucks because I don't know how to feel about a movie like this where it's exactly in the middle of the road because it's right in between being really great and really not great. I mean, it's not really between being really great and really terrible. It's just between being really great and being really bland and passive.
All right, so, I mean, overall, it wasn't as bad as I had feared the movie was going to be. Like Casey, I'm conflicted with the movie because there are good elements. However, that being said, I'm going to be disappointed when this movie gets a lot of accolades at the Oscars, which it seems like it will happen because, you know, it's hearkening back to, oh, remember the glory days of Hollywood where there were, you know, glamorous musicals and all that kind of stuff. And this isn't the film to do that.
Well, it also doesn't sell that very well.
No, it doesn't. It was so weird that, like, Emma Stone wasn't, like, auditioning for musical theater.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought that was weird. And it's going to be really frustrating because I guarantee that, you know, people are going to forget about this movie and then it's going to be revitalized on Broadway and, like, it's going to be a whole thing. You know, so, like, this is just one of those things that we're going to have to, like, deal with from now on.
I'm also going to be disappointed when it gets a lot of Oscar nominations because, like, this film is a lot better than Arrival, for sure. However, there are certain parts of Arrival that I would love to see it get nominated and win Oscars for, like visual effects, sound design, production design, that kind of thing. Cinematography even. Yeah, totally. I am there. This movie, I don't know that there's any particular part except for the editing and the music, which, yeah, sure, totally those, but other than those two things, and maybe something for Ryan Gosling, I guess, there's no particular area that I feel like it did, like, a really solid, good job.
I mean, it's so close. It's so close. And then it winds up trying to cater to too many very different groups. And I guess if you're somebody who likes musical theater and jazz, and then you throw on your iPod and mix them together, it works. But
I have a lot of musical soundtracks. I own a lot of musical soundtracks, a lot, including a live production of West Side Story that is truly fantastic. I would never want to own any of the musical parts of the soundtrack. I would probably get the soundtrack and delete all the, like, singing numbers and just keep all the instrumental stuff.
Yeah, the instrumental stuff is great. Because I would literally never
listen to that stuff,
The instrumental stuff is great. And, like, I will actually be really happy if that wins.
I guarantee the Dreamer song is going to get a nomination for Best Original Song.
Oh, of course it is.
I also am pretty damn sure it's going to win. And that's going to make me sad because that's
it's
not only not a great song, but it's also the weakest song in the movie.
It's going to win because it's a musical and it has several songs, and then they pick that song and that's the winner. That normally is what happens with musicals. Can you think of, like, another song that could be, like, even nominated? I know Sia had a couple.
Like I said,
probably Lion will get nominated. I know.
Like I said, yeah. I guarantee that one's going to win. But I mean, the Oscars have done this plenty of times before, where they seriously just pick the worst song to win. You know, even if you just look at the movie, there are better songs.
Yeah, I mean, even though I wasn't a huge fan of Lady Gaga's song during the Oscars, it was, like, dramatically better than the fucking
Sam Smith one. Yeah. One of the ones I was disappointed with was The Princess and the Frog, where, like, almost there is pretty damn good, but the villain song is so much better.
Yeah.
The Shadow Man song is so much better.
I usually prefer the villain songs anyways.
Yeah, me too.
Disney hasn't done, like, a good villain in a long time.
That's pretty much the last good villain song, but I didn't really even like the Shadow Man as a villain. I like the song a lot, but that's about it.
Alright, so let us know what you thought of La La Land. And also, if you got a different take out of the film, maybe some of the stuff that we didn't get, let us know, because, like, I would be interested to hear an argument for the film. Also, if you didn't like the film, let us know why you didn't like it. Don't just rehash what we said. Alright, thanks for listening.